Should we start?
Sure, yeah, yeah, you betcha.
Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. And so today is a change to our recognition of traditional territories based on a request from our Aboriginal Education Committee and also advice that we got from BCSTA that you managed to get for us. And all we need to say is we would like to acknowledge and honor the four nations on whose traditional land we live and learn. The Snayaks, the Snakot, the Sequemet, and the Silks. And on that note, I'll ask for approval of the agenda. And just to note, I did send out the email about under business arising. I will be bringing forward the issue of the motion that we had at our last meeting on the extension of the timeline for the revised 10 to 12 curriculum. Okay. I have a motion to approve that. Elmer, seconded. Jeff? All those in favor? The minutes of our last meeting, November the 2nd. Motion to approve those. Leslie seconded Elmer. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Carried. So under business of rising, you'll recall that at our last meeting we did pass a motion that is
here.
Yes, it's on page 5.
Thanks. There we go.
And that motion basically was that we collaborate with the Russell Teachers Association to write a joint letter to the Ministry of Education with regards to the revised 10 to 12 curriculum. The RTA has declined to take part in that, and so what I would like to have in place of that is a motion that says, and I did send this out to you back, the Board of Education write a letter to the Minister of Education requesting that the timeline on the revised 10 to 12 curricula be extended. If someone would like to make that. Leslie, Jeff? Discussion on that? Leslie, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I think it's the same question.
Yeah.
Is there a reason why the RTA declined to be
Well,
involved?
Bob's not here today.
Yeah, I would speak to that though.
Okay.
Bob and I did look at it together. The BCTF had sent their own letter, already previously had sent a letter requesting, and most groups are doing that right now. Bob respectfully declined, though, having asked the BCTF rep, should he sign a letter jointly right now, and felt that there are some things that we really clearly need to do together jointly as a board and as a teachers association, but that in this case there wasn't a terrific amount of ownership or feeling that we really needed to be, quote, working together on this. We just share a common thought. So it was done with the most respect, but just that the BCTF view at that point was it is a little bit of a political issue, and in this case they didn't feel it was critical to us making our case, nor was it an expression of the relationship that exists. Is simply that there's another set of politics going on provincially. The BCTF said to the rep, just said, I feel more comfortable should you just stick with the BCTF line on this. And to be fair, the letter was different because all we were asking for is an extension of the extension of 10 to 12. The BCTF letter goes into some more detail with respect to asking government to provide funding, and it really extends the letter. So to have done the letter that we would be comfortable with, the BCTF have already done a letter that was far more extensive. And so given that, that's why Bob said respectfully decline, and had he been here tonight, he would have said it was certainly nothing to do with the relationship that exists, nor wanting to work together, just simply some advice from the BCTF. Every once in a while I got to jump with the mothership, and that's what happened in this case.
Like we do sometimes too.
Yeah, for sure.
Does that answer your question, Over? Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. That takes us to superintendent's report.
Okay, all right, I'll just highlight a couple for you from this past one. You've had an opportunity to see it already. I just want to note that, and again, if Bob were here, and a shout out to Jennifer wherever she is, and for that matter, the two of you, because I know you were both involved in collective agreement, melding, and work prior to this. Having Leanne Bowes and John Anger from BCPC and BCTF respectively here for the day to finally have final copies of 2011 to 13 document. We've been working on a draft document for years. The 2013-19, at the same time, collective agreement now has common language, provincial language, melded together in a single document, which forms our local document. It was a huge amount of work, many hours, I should say, as opposed to work, putting it all together and making sure that document was right. So we appreciated having those folks there, and Bob and I enjoyed meeting with them on the day. Item number 7, I just wanted to highlight the work of the Education Committee in preparation for the December 5th meeting. That committee put together an agenda for the 2 additional non-instructional days last year, and now without having to meet and face-to-face, did an email, the email work to get the agenda ready for the December 5th. The schools and staff are extremely busy right now dealing with changes to student reporting, and that'll form a lot of the focus of the December 5th day. Looking forward to seeing what comes out of that. And then item number 10, I'd just like to highlight the work of the Education Advisory Committee that hosted a session last night. There were just under 30 people there, but I think only 18 parents and then staff. And a really great turnout at the RSS Library. Joined the Education Advisory Committee for their presentation. Highlights included the discussion led by the 2 parents on that committee and the 3 students who shared results about results of the survey that they did with high school students, and I intend to expand that, asking them for feedback on their preferred method of reporting. And they got a laugh because they said, they said, what should be on your report cards? And one of the things they said really doesn't need to be there is our attendance information. That doesn't have to be on a report card for our parents to see, so I got a good chuckle. And then also it generated great discussion and the similar questions from the parents that our teachers have come up with on our working group already. All the similar concerns around, so what if there isn't report cards, what is there? And the theme really was, it isn't about not having report cards, it's about having really effective communication between teachers and students that is understandable to students, that really accurately describes where they are in their learning journey. So that was sort of the theme of the evening, and we're looking forward to doing it again, because that kind of a turnout, there was a request and interest for having more involved. And then finally, I just wanted to note that the selection committee completed the process back in early October for our new secretary-treasurer. A notice will come out now to the system announcing the arrival of Mark Juman, who is joining us as our new secretary-treasurer over the course of the next number of months. I include in there that Bruce is going to continue on in the transition in a similar role that we talked about before to ensure a smooth transition between Mark and Bruce. And just noting in there that Mark brings with him a fair bit of a number of years of experience, 6 years in total, in the Alberta Public School System, working in the Capital Division branch, and is excited to be here and is dealing with the challenges already of moving Revelstoke in terms of finding adequate housing. So that'll be the first step. That's what he's working on right now. So we're kind of holding off on start dates exactly, but we anticipate he'll be here January the 9th. That's it for me, Bill.
Okay, any questions or comments from Leslie? Go ahead.
Going back to numbers 5 and 8, the Child, Youth, Mental Health, Substance Use Collaborative. I'm curious to know how much money is involved in this. What's the funding?
Was it in total? It was $125,000 over 2 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it was a substantial amount of dollars.
Yeah.
A fairly good, I'm trying to think off the top, it's about, don't quote me on this, it's about $45,000. Yeah, don't quote me on it.
Just speaking to my camera.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. A portion of that $125,000, a good portion was spent on staffing, which was Jill Smith as the coordinator. And the intention of grants like that are to hire somebody to build capacity, set processes in place, so when the project's over, there's work that continues.
Right.
And that's been the effort, yeah. And what you're seeing there is an extension. It was a substantial amount of dollars for a community our size. The grant dollars, we sometimes benefit from those kind of things because they didn't say, well, you're small, so you don't need a lot of money. They said the grant is the grant. So in Salmon Arm, they would have received $125,000, and that's what we received too. So it was a big benefit to us, which is why we're able to now look at extending into December. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's good. Anybody else? Jeff?
Yes. Number 15.
Okay.
What is involved in exploration projects?
Oh,
County Park.
what, in a nutshell, and you should, and the extension always to drop by and see on any Friday afternoon, because they continue with that, but it's the grades, the intermediate grades are grouped, and the students were asked, so they're out of their classes and then into groups of interest. And groups, so they sign up for either a technology afternoon, a drama afternoon, a fine arts afternoon, and there's one more. That's the three. It was three, not four, yeah. And then they are spread out. It seems like more than three because they're spread out all over the place into different areas. So teachers take their area of interest and work with us with multi-age groups at that point in exploration of their interests. Yeah. It's a great drop by. It's a great Friday afternoon drop by. Okay.
Well, number 18, this one about the French school, are they asking for more space now? Or?
Yeah, yes and no. They would like more space for storage, and Hugo was interested in talking about long-term plans because they're experiencing a little bit of growing pain there by sharing our school. We're trying to run a very respectful balance of sharing things like computer space, library space, and gym time with them, given that they are all Revel Slope students. So that's a little bit what's going on there.
No more classroom space.
No more classroom space from this year, no.
Go ahead.
Can I ask a question sort of following on from that, it's a bit more general perhaps, but is there any kind of discussion over the long run about perhaps having a separate building for them and the board having another look at French immersion classes? And the reason I ask this is that somebody pointed out to me that a child who graduates from Revelstoke High School who doesn't have French 12 or any French immersion is unable to get a job with Parks Canada unless they go back and do a lot more studying in French.
Yeah.
Which seems very unfortunate to me.
Yeah, actually, I'd back that up even a little further. The French 12 wouldn't help them with that. For Parks Canada and for other government jobs, you need to be fully bilingual.
You need to be bilingual, but
Yeah,
at least
yeah.
it's a beginning.
Yeah, very beginning. Yeah. The short answer of a big question is that the Francophone Authority is their own board, and they have been in contact with us quite regularly, and they are in contact with the Capital Division of the Ministry of Education because they are a public board in also or in BC, and they are looking at what their long-term plans are here. Yeah.
Elmer, did you have anything?
Jeff actually answered.
All right.
Okay.
That's good.
I
That's all.
just have one, if you want to go back to number 4, just arising out of that.
Okay.
I would also like to point out the hard work that everybody that did that to meld those collective agreements should be complimented. It's a horrendous amount of work. In fact, I well remember Ann and I working on it, probably going back to like 2011 or something. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Hours and hours of meetings,
Mm-hmm.
trying to get to the point where we could keep moving on, but it's nice to hear that's completed now. But arising out of that, and the whole issue of collective bargaining is the issue of the recent Supreme Court ruling of Canada on November the 10th, and that was, of course, the BCTF's appeal to their loss in the BC Court of Appeal on their case with regards to the stripping of their contract language on class size and composition. I think everybody was quite surprised that decision came out so quickly. My understanding is the court heard the case, and of course they get all the documents and everything beforehand, but it only took about a half an hour, and within 20 minutes they came back with their ruling, a 7-2 ruling in favor of the BCTF. So that, I think, was a bit of a surprise to everybody, no doubt. But just to let you know that all the stakeholders will begin discussions, I know, as to the next steps and everything else. The current collective agreement that we're under with the teachers provides for language that sets out what happens if, in fact, the ruling, depending on what the ruling was, in this case, the ruling is in favor of the BCTF. So the basic language says that the language is restored. What that means, we don't know yet. We need to wait to find out everything and see how the discussions play out and what role there will be in those discussions for us. I was expecting something from BCPC today, but there was nothing. I just checked before I came home. So there will be further updates on that as we work through that process, which could well be complex, but hopefully it brings to an end. It's something that's been going on for 14 years.
Yeah. Sure.
Anyway.
Good. Thanks, Paul.
Okay. Next item is the out-of-town trip to Moscow, Idaho.
Yeah, so you've seen this, I'm trying to think if this has maybe been 5 or 6 years in a row. Likely 5 years. Oh, or 5 or 6 times, yeah. Is it?
Yeah, international trips.
Oh, yes, of course, yeah. So you see the trip there before you, it requires our board approval because it's beyond the 3-night travel. A little bit of information for you, and we did have a approval in principle back in the spring for this, or back in the early September for this trip. So there's the rest of the request.
So would someone like to move that recommendation? Jeff seconded. Elmer, any discussion, questions on it? All those in favor? Carried. Okay. The next item is the Education Advisory Committee, and I'll let you know that Mike's already given the report on it. So
Yes.
I just want to echo that the session went very well last night. The meeting basically that we had our last meeting was basically planning for what happened last night, and it really did go well. I also was really impressed with the parents' engagement in it, as far as their questions, whether there were questions of, they didn't quite understand, or their comments that were in support of a lot of the new changes in the curriculum and that sort of thing. But certainly the whole reporting aspect is something that does give a lot of concern. Although some of it, especially at the younger grades, I think most of the parents are quite happy. So those discussions certainly will have to continue. So could I have a motion to receive those minutes, please? Jeff and Elmer, any discussion or questions? All those in favor? Good, carried. The District Parent Advisory Council minutes. And that's Elmer, right?
I was not.
Oh, you're not able to be for that one, yeah. But it's there for your information. As always, as Elmer would say, that's a great group. They come, they get some work done for an hour, they share. It's a really important part of the sharing between schools, and that's what the PAC News is about. It's an opportunity to find out what each other's doing, and keeps us all kind of providing very similar things at each of our schools, which is all great. Just there for information.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Question. They've got over $2,000 in their account. I just wonder how the deep back gets their money. Is it a levy on which individual?
No, it's their gaming funds, so they also apply for and receive gaming funds. Yeah.
So Elmer, I'm assuming you knew that we received those minutes, all right?
Sure.
Okay, second.
Yeah.
Leslie?
Yes,
All right, there, Leslie's in.
Sorry.
I
I didn't hear you call the vote.
No, I haven't called the vote, I'm looking for a seconder, so that was.
Oh, seconder,
I thought I said,
sure.
so your
I
hand
second.
moved a bit there, so.
Yes, ma'am.
Any discussion on that? Not, all those in favor? Carried. Then the Aboriginal Education Advisory Committee, that's yours, Leslie, right?
Yeah. Yes, here, this was the meeting of
November 3rd.
November the 3rd, right. We had some more discussion about this acknowledgement wording for school board meetings, and I think the Aboriginal Education Committee would like the opportunity to go to their mentors in the district, is that right?
We've already drafted a letter.
Oh, you have, okay.
Yeah. and
To the
then-
board?
Yes.
Oh, okay. And but that letter isn't here yet?
I think it'll be at the next.
The next board meeting?
Yeah.
Okay, so.
I just saw it today. so-
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so I'm not sure if it's the same as what the
Yes.
board got? Yeah, it's the same.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very affirming, yeah.
A couple of things were added to the report section. And this was contributed by Laura Stokel. Oh, I should say something more, first of all, that the list of people, and the people who came, we have a couple of new additions to the committee who are parents. And it was really nice to have, I'm sorry, the Blake, oh yeah, it's there.
There you go, yeah.
Blake Farah and Chantal Wilson. both parents, I believe, who came, and Lara Stovall comes just as a general community representative, I think. So we seem to have a larger committee, which I think is really healthy. And it's very nice to have some parents and a man on the committee, which is really nice, a dad. Lara brought news of the conference, Columbia River Conference, which
We're number 6, okay, there you
number
go.
6, right. One River Ethics Matter. This is an extension of a presentation that was done by this group about a year, no, it was in the summertime, so it was about a year ago last summer. One River Ethics Matter is a group that is looking at bringing salmon back to the Columbia River and ethical considerations for the renewal of the Columbia River Treaty between the states and Canada. And in Washington, that is the state of Washington, has already agreed to some of the things that this group, One River Ethics Matter, wants. And so they have made some political inroads in the United States along the lines of, mostly it's salmon restoration, but some other considerations about environmental protection for various species connected to the river. So there's going to be a conference on in May, and I think it's here. Is that right?
Here in Oxford.
Yes.
And so it's an intertribal group, and so Coconut Nation Alliance, and also interfaith group, and then also some private citizens that are putting on the conference. And we're just wanting to invite local participation in their conference, and also if students were doing some work around the health of the Columbia, they wanted to invite them to display their work. They've also been speaking with the Revelstoke Arts Council, I believe, and there'll be a display of art about the Columbia River and salmon health and caribou health and so on up and down the Columbia River at the art gallery at the same time.
When Virgil Seymour came to do the first One River Ethics Matter presentation, there were a number of videos available that are floating around the community, and I think that some of the schools have these.
Have copies of
We
the
have
video. It's
copies.
actually called One River Ethics
Oh,
Matters,
okay,
and
yeah.
they carved
Yeah.
news and
It's quite an interesting video, actually. It was an interesting evening, the presentation that we had with First Nations people from the Sinaiaks, or the Colville Reservation, but Sinaiaks background people were involved in that. And they have a very high profile in the States, but we haven't heard very much from them in Canada at all. So I think the committee would like to sort of somehow highlight this event. I'm not sure what is going to happen. So maybe you know more about
I think, well, the question from the organizing group was just, could our students share what they're learning and studying about the health of the Columbia River, and in light of the Columbia Basin Trust and the treaty renegotiations happening, could just wanting to make sure that ecological values are part of that discussion.
And if we just go back, can we go back to point number 5 here, the 2 reports. These reports by the education assistants are often a major part of the meeting, and one of the most interesting parts, where we actually hear about what Lisa Moore, Lisa Kinsella Sykes are doing in classrooms, and also Karen O'Neill. And so it's funny, it seems to me, when you read about boys making bannock and people doing beading and things, that these seem like very simple kind of inconsequential, you know, there's a kind of trope in education language, the basket weaving courses. And that's what you know, when you write it out like that, it seems to be, but when you hear people talk about kids in classrooms actually doing these things, it has a great deal more significance, and it really does, I think, have a connection to the larger parts of the curriculum involving Aboriginal things. So it's hands-on activities that actually really make things come alive for children. So I always find those reports really good, and that's good. I just like to say.
So would you like me to make a motion?
Yes,
that your minutes
please.
be received? A seconder to that, Jeff. Any discussion or questions or lesson? Go ahead, Jeff.
Oh, well, just, I don't know if they're under quality, I don't know which number it is.
Right at the beginning.
Anyway, there's Rudy for the educational assistants, and then the RTA has some workshops planned, so it's really good to see, considering that Aboriginal ways of knowing, learning, so they're featured quite a bit in the revised curriculum, so it's good to see that much going on.
Thanks, Ben.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
Well, Lisa Moore's report, Lundgren School House Erosion. Any idea what that is?
Grade 8 through 12, grade 8 through 12, sorry, 9 through 12 in one classroom, and they're running with at least 3 different courses. It's an Aboriginal advisory, like an Aboriginal support block, but within that time, there are students who are working on locally developed courses, social studies courses, First Nations courses. So there are kids of lots of grades working through separate curricula. So they'll see lots of group work and both Lisas working very hard in that block. And what they also noted was in the past, oftentimes that block was some of our kids with difficult behaviors were often put into that Avid support block. These are students who have really chosen to take an Aboriginal support block, and so they're able to get to all kinds of cultural, historical, and contemporary issues and knowledge around Aboriginal people. So kind of a neat change that we're seeing with that support block time at RSS.
Any other questions? Not then, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Trustee reports at your Childhood Development Committee, and that would be
Alan was
here,
outside here.
but
Yep.
as you say, it's for information.
It's for information, and just it highlighted the getting ready for the visit with Kim Chandra and Michael that we were talking about. So, but other than that, lots of information there just for you.
Okay. And the Okanagan College Advisory Committee.
And thanks to Ariel for participating in this one. Joan Ragsdale actually came the week before. I was unable to go, and Ariel went, and I see she made the minutes. That's great. Down there with brought copies of the SD19 insert. I was reviewed and showcased, so thank you for that and there for your information.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah.
The last item was on Aboriginal education.
Adult basic education?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. That's it's been on the agenda for as long as I've been involved, about 4 years. Every year they talk about adult basic education, whether they're going to continue to offer. They're still offering a very skeleton view. Joan Ragsdale, when she came to see me, and then likely at this meeting, just referred to needing more information about how else we might make that need, because it's really just a numbers matter for them. They're having a very difficult time sustaining an instructor on the small numbers that we have. So the answer is not no right now. The answer is it's a challenge.
Elmer?
2 things there. The residential construction program, that sounds really interesting.
Yeah, that would be the second time. So that's Rob Kilsgard. They're looking for all manner of opportunities. The last one they ran here was the culinary arts prior to that, the electrical program, and thinking there might be time again for the potential for a residential program, which we did run in 2 homes in Hill Heights. Yeah, it'd be great.
Would there be a way to get like RMR and some of the other potential businesses in town that need seasonal employees, like, to go ahead and support this? I see this as a real, a definite need in Robstow community, is like
Yeah.
affordable housing, especially for the employees of this, scale, of the new hotels being built. Vermont Inn, where are the employees gonna be living?
Yeah.
So I see this as being just a really good way to go ahead and partly, meet those needs.
Yeah, Rob's looking for lots of ways to, in order to sustain it. That challenge that Rob has with running the college program is there's some pretty strict guidelines, and the length of the project around the kind of project that they can actually take on, and also finding the capital funding in order to start with the property and then have the funds to build it. Help me out. Vic Van Isle was instrumental last time in the last project, and they really just need to partner with somebody. So there probably is opportunity there, and that's Rob's work, so he's up talking to us about.
Any way we can push? Because this will benefit our students for sure.
The pushing is coming through support for sure, to say that, and we have been supportive of getting the culinary arts program going.
Yeah.
As soon as he's able to, and because he's pushing, as soon as he's able to, then we need to start getting the students, and that's where we've been. We don't want to put the students, start talking to students about it when it's still a hope, because we're already on a fine line with them. So with trying to run it or not, because they announce it's going to run, and we have had programs fall through, and then kids have made course choices and believe it's there. So yeah. But,
No, to me it sounds really valuable.
yeah, it is absolutely.
He was quite optimistic at the meeting. that
Yeah,
was good.
he thinks it might do again. Yeah.
Okay. So, well, that takes us to question period. David, do you have anything?
Yes, I have a question. It didn't exactly arise in your discussions, but Leslie is leaving next month, or in January. And is there going to be a by-election to fill her position?
Nobody can fill it.
Yeah.
Once that all becomes official, we will do what we have to do as far as the legal requirement for a by-election. I believe there is a timeline that says you have to have a by-election within a certain time of when the next election will be. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but that's what we have to put in place, yeah.
It's all speculation right
David's not buying that.
No, I'm not really bad.
The regulations are pretty clear for our next step, so, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
Anything here? Any questions? If not, then we can adjourn to our closed session.
All right, great.